Welcome from the Office for Education Policy. I'm here with a session on what parents need to know about the Atlas Interims. This is part 2 though. At this point in the year, students may have taken a second interim, and there are some things that you can learn about their progress that we're going to talk about. The interim assessments were designed for a specific purpose, and in the parent portal, if your child has taken the fall interim and the winter interim, you're going to be able to look at those results and get a sense of their progress. That's how this particular assessment was designed. And you probably have some questions about to what extent you would see progress. And so we're going to dig into this. It is important to know that the K2 interim was postponed this year and will be back in 2026. The grades 3 through high school interims are available. They're not mandatory, so your district may or may not have decided to use them, but they were designed specifically to help us understand more about progress on grade level standards within the school year. You can access your child's scores if they've completed their tests in the family portal. You just need that unique code, your child's birth date, and the official spelling of their first name. The interim assessments were designed to give us an idea about how students are developing and progressing and mastering their grade level standards during the school year that they're in. So this is not an end of the year test, but it is built on the same blueprint as the end of year test, for the same standards that your students, your children, are expected to be able to demonstrate mastery of by the end of the year. So you have to adjust your expectations based on when the interim is being taken, and earlier in the year means your child may not have had the opportunity to learn some of the standards, so we don't expect them to be at demonstration fully of grade level standards until the end of the year. So those are important things to remember. Now, there was a fall interim, interim 1, and currently available is interim 2, the winter interim. And when your child takes that, in which standards they are expected to know and be able to do is going to be based on what's going on in your child's classroom. So this is a space where you can ask questions of your child's teacher about what they think about how your child is progressing, whether or not it's on track for the end of the year. As I just mentioned, the interims happen 2 times a year, and so this current school year, 2025, they were between October and December, and between February and the middle of March. However, next year, they're going to be opening earlier and closing later. So there's going to be 2 big windows next year. And this is to give your teachers an opportunity to use these assessments in a way that helps them support your child learning. So the idea is to give them a sense of progress as well as you a sense of your child's progress so that you can plan together how to best meet your child's learning needs. Now in 2026, there will be a K2 Atlas Interim for reading and math. Those dates have not been provided yet. Again, all of this becomes available in the family portal. When you log into the portal, at the very upper left-hand corner, it says sorted by the most recent test. So what you want to do to see if your child has a winter interim test result is to look at the date that it was taken. So in this case, the last time this interim was taken was in November. And that means that this child does not have a winter interim assessment. So the only information we have for this particular student comes from that fall interim, the beginning of the year. Districts are not required to provide the interims. They have the option to make things work within their larger scheme of learning and assessment. So some of you will log in and find no interims. Some of you will log in and find at least one, either fall or winter. And some of you will be lucky enough to find both the fall and the winter interims. And if you have all that information, you have quite a bit to work with. So again, as mentioned in part 1, when you get these interim scores, they assess your child's mastery of the grade level standards that they're expected to be able to demonstrate by the end of the school year. So your child may not have learned some of the standards that are covered on the interim, and that's okay. If they took a fall, they'll probably have fewer standards mastered than when they take the winter. And then the hope is that by the time they get to the summative, which is at the end of the year, they'll be able to demonstrate grade level mastery or proficiency. They are expected to show progress. So from the beginning of the year, if they took the fall interim and they didn't take anything until the summative, you would expect to see that they would have a higher score and that they would be demonstrating a higher level of proficiency on the different standards that are assessed. If they went from the fall to the middle of the year, the winter interim, you do expect to see some progress. It may not be all the way to the end of the year, but you would expect to see some progress. This is just a slide that shows you how you can access the more detailed information that I'm going to talk about in the next few slides. ELA, or English Language Arts, includes both reading and writing. The math will include just math, and the science will include just science. I just want to point out how these are similar and different. In part 1, I mentioned that you get a more detailed report. So in this case, I'm just bringing up an old slide that talks about you get your child's performance score at that point in time, which may not be at the place you want it to be by the end of the year. And that's okay. We just need to be making progress towards it by the end of the year and then demonstrate it at the end of the year. So your child's score can be compared to other students in your district and in the state who took the interim. And that kind of helps you get a sense of where your child is in progress compared to where others are progressing. Again, you'll get a reporting categories page on the detailed report, and this will show you how your child is doing at this point in time. So if you had a fall interim and you have a winter interim for your child, you can compare how did these little starfighter dots with the wings, did they move to the right? The idea is we want them to be moving to the right because that's going to mean progress in each of those reporting categories, which means progress in their overall scaled score. This is the part that I think is really neat because you can get progress over time, and we do expect to see it. So I want to spend just a few minutes talking about what's on this screen to avoid confusion and also help you to learn how to interpret this information. Your child's progress over time is captured in these bars. So your child is the dot, the bright dot where it says subject score. And the very left-hand bar for this particular child is from their third grade summative, which means at the end of third grade, this student was actually level 4. So this student was demonstrating an advanced understanding of their grade level standards. Now, in the fall, on 11/19, they took an interim test on the 4th grade math standards. We don't expect them in November to know all of the 4th grade standards if they're actually learning 4th grade math that year. Now, this is an advanced child, so they may not drop by much, but this little drop between the summative at the end of the year and the very first interim happens. Not everybody does it, but it's more often a drop than it is staying the same. There's very few that stay the same because they're learning a whole new set of higher grade level standards. Now, the big thing is that in February, when this student took the assessment, this particular student actually not only made progress on the 4th grade level standards, but appears to be at a higher level by the middle of the year of 4th grade in math than they were at the end of the year on their 3rd grade standards. So this is actually an excellent place for this child to be. You would expect your child to show improvement between the fall and the winter interims. That's important to know. So let's take a look at some different examples. Students can differ in how much they progress. This one is an interesting one. We don't see this on the very left very often, but at the end of third grade, this child was actually in level 1. So they were really limited in their understanding. At the beginning of the next school year, this student was actually demonstrating almost grade level on the next grade level standards. And then by the interim, they were pretty much staying the same. So I would, given my background and all the data I review, I might think, I wonder if this was a student who was retained and was just having a bad year, and boom, now they're on the new standards. Or it could just be that this student got some great help during the summer, got on track for grade level, and is starting out strong. This student here is more typical, where they're at a particular level at the end of the year on the prior grade level standards. So this is a 5th grade student who was just at level 2, at the very bottom of level 2 at the end of 5th grade. They are starting 6th grade on the fall interim in a limited understanding, which makes sense because they haven't received a lot of 6th grade instruction. By the winter interim, they are demonstrating progress and are almost back up here to this level. So if we want them to actually catch up, we really want to see them make a lot more progress between the winter test and what they do at the end of the year. And then finally, here is another student example where this is algebra. So this student on 8th grade math the prior year was right smack in the middle of level 2. This child, when they started algebra, was, they dropped a little bit, but not too much. But algebra, all new standards compared to 8th grade math. And instruction is occurring, and this child is demonstrating that they're almost at grade level by the middle of the year. So this type of progress, that's what we hope to see. It can look different for every child, but they should be moving in a positive direction. It is important, if you're accessing this information and you're wondering, what do I do? Work with your child's classroom teacher to prioritize the learning that they need to be successful with for the remainder of the school year. And you can do that. You can inform yourself by looking at the reporting categories and where they're weak and where they're strong. So in this student's case down here, number and place value. For whatever reason, at this grade level, this is grade 4 math, this student is still struggling with number and place value. So how might that get beefed up in their learning so that they can demonstrate more at grade level? It could be that your child isn't getting true grade level instruction. They may be getting remediated because they were behind when they started the year. But even students who start behind should be accessing grade level standards. So talk with your teachers about this, find out how you can help, find out how they're supporting your child in learning and demonstrating their grade level standards this year. Stay tuned. I do want to offer that if you have specific questions and would like us to reach out to you, email oep@uark.edu and in the subject line put "Attention, Denise, test question," so that that gets directed to me and I can take a look and I can either respond to you directly on your email, or if we get a lot of similar questions, we can have another video for that. Thank you so much, and we look forward to you working in advocacy for your child's success. Thank you.